Season 2, Episode 15, the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000. Geez, say that 5 times fast. This episode has a real family message to it. I'm Count Lurchalot, and this is Lukewarm Television. It starts with Rainbow Dash barging into Fluttershy's cottage as it's nearly cider season at Sweet Apple Acres. Rainbow Dash wants to get there early because Pinkie Pie always buys too much apple cider and they always run out before Rainbow can get any. So Rainbow Dash aims to get there early, drink all she can, and make sure Pinkie gets none. I don't think that's the lesson you should be teaching, Rainbow. Unfortunately, by the time they get there, they discover a line of tents parked outside the farm as a heap of ponies have camped out overnight. Of course, Pinkie is at the front of the line, and of course, this was her idea. She told others about it, and they also thought it was a good idea. This understandably angers Rainbow Dash, and I honestly don't blame her. Before long, the Apple family starts selling the cider, and Pinkie buys an excessive amount. As you know, Pinkie is my favourite character, but I really don't like her in this instance because I feel she's being incredibly selfish. I get this is a source of income for the Apple family, but I feel they should also limit how much you can buy so every pony has a chance to get some. I say this because despite having a lot of cider, they run out before every pony in town can get some. This angers the rest of the town. Applejack explains that they do their best to increase supply, but this only angers the crowd further. I am on the Apple's side in this instance because I understand they try to produce cider to the highest quality possible, but I repeat, limit the allowed amount people are allowed to buy per visit. I'm sorry, I am just so angry at Pinkie right now. Applejack says there will be more tomorrow, but then my anger for Pinkie increases as she unintentionally rubs salt in Rainbow's wounds. I hate when people do this as well. Why are you making me hate Pinkie this episode? Before the ponies go home, a weird steam and magic-powered vehicle arrives driven by 2 unicorn brothers named Flim and Flam, who are travelling sales ponies. Don't trust these two. They start singing a song about how they've come upon a thirsty town with no cider, and they have a solution to their cider problem. That solution being a device that is the title of the episode. Using borrowed apples from the Apple family, the Flim Flam brothers show that their device can make a lot of cider very quickly. Granny Smith isn't convinced, however, as she doubts the machine can differentiate good apples from bad apples, but as it turns out, it can. With all this information, Flim and Flam ask if the apples are ready to take their cider making into the modern world and buy their machine. Before we continue, I have to ask something. Is this pony from Asgard? Look at her cutie mark. Isn't that Mjolnir? Anyway, the Apple family aren't sure if they should buy the machine because they've never changed their method for making apple cider. Flim and Flam then try to sweeten the deal by saying that if the apples supply the apples, they'll supply the machine and split the profits 25-75, with the apples taking the 25%. Personally, I feel this is hugely unfair. In the end, the apples decline as the cider sales are one of their biggest sources of income, and if they lose it, they lose their farm. However, by not accepting their partnership, Flim and Flam threaten to become competitors and drive Sweet Apple Acres out of business. The next day, the Apple family again run out of cider before every pony is able to get some, which of course annoys Rainbow Dash. I'll say this as many times as I must, if you've already had some, you don't get any more until everyone has some! Looking at you, Pinkie! Flim and Flam then arrive and reveal they've come with their own cider. The remaining ponies then rush to get some, not a very loyal customer base. But knowing the cider is made from the produce of the Apple family, Applejack says they can't sell it. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. Sadly, she also makes poor Rainbow Dash spill her cup, who then tries to eat it out of the dirt. Flim and Flam follow this up by saying they'll just use other apples around Equestria, at which point Apple Bloom declares they'll make more cider than they can even imagine. This leads to Flim and Flam posing them a challenge. Whoever can produce the most barrels of cider in 1 hour will win exclusive cider selling rights in Ponyville. Granny Smith agrees, mainly because they called her chicken. I guess she's Marty McFly now. And I guess what she says goes, as she is the matriarch. She even agrees to let Flim and Flam use apples from their trees. It's essential that the Apple family win, because if they don't, their farm will be lost. The competition begins the next day, and the mayor of Ponyville, I still love this pun, acts as the judge and begins the competition. With Pony Doctor Who starting the timer. Get it? Pony Doctor Who? He's the timekeeper. Time! Flim and Flam simply let their machine do all the work while the Apple family works as a team. Applejack harvests, Apple Bloom collects, Granny Smith does quality checks, and Big Mac makes the cider and closes the barrels. Unfortunately, by the time the apples produce 1 barrel, Flim and Flam have 6. To make matters worse, even when the apples are working as fast as they can, Flim and Flam still manage to make 3 times as much cider. It's at this point Twilight attempts to make a compromise. She asks if honorary family members are allowed to help, and because Flim and Flam are so confident they'll win, they say yes. Applejack also agrees, as she'd love to have help from the rest of her family. From here, Twilight assigns tasks. Fluttershy helps with the harvest, Pinkie helps with collection, Rarity helps with quality check, no surprise there. Rainbow assists with the cider making, and Twilight closes and sorts the barrels. Working together, they start catching up to Flim and Flam. This causes the brothers to push their machine into maximum overdrive. This means they start consuming entire trees and skip quality control, mainly because they ruin all the apples, which allows them to produce a lot of cider, but it clearly isn't very good quality. Rainbow Dash briefly considers following their example, but the others convince her otherwise. Because of this, when time runs out, the brothers have produced significantly more cider. But like I said, the cider is garbage and the residents refuse to buy it. Knowing they won't make any money here, they run off to con the next town. Good riddance, I say. Because of this, Sweet Apple Acres are able to stay in business and the town of Ponyville is able to enjoy quality cider. And because of the competition, there's enough for the entire town. Maybe you should have come up with this solution earlier. Also, if I'm honest, it's hard for me to be excited for them because I'm not a big fan of apple cider, but to each their own. Anyway, the episode ends with Applejack writing a lesson to the princess. She apparently learnt nothing, as she was right all along, because if you take time to do things the right way, work speaks for itself. Yeah, kind of have to agree with her there. Just before the episode ends, Rainbow Dash is still unable to get any cider, but thankfully Pinkie shares some. Why didn't you do that before? While I get and appreciate the message of hard work in this episode, hell, it's something I put high value in, this episode still makes me so fucking angry! I'm sorry, but I just can't fathom how selfish and inconsiderate Pinkie was in this episode. There aren't many episodes where I get angry at Pinkie, but you can definitely consider this an outlier. I'm sorry, I'm just... Ugh! Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next review.